Hi everyone. So today we're going to continue our lesson on the circulatory system. Yesterday was a brief overview talking about the main components, and we have three of those. So we need to have a pump so that we can circulate everything. So that's our heart. We need to have something to circulate the things in. So that's our blood, that's the fluid. And then we also need to have a pathway for those things. So that's our blood vessels. Today, let's specifically look at blood vessels. So there's three main types of blood vessels. The first one is arteries, and I always remember A for away. So our arteries are always going to carry blood away from the heart. And arteries have an incredibly high pressure. So if you watch any gory medical shows or TV shows, you'll notice that these are when someone cuts their artery, that's when you see this like projectile blood squirting out of somebody. That's because they're under such high pressure. Their walls are super thick to help prevent that vessel from bursting whenever there's that high pressure, right? So if you think of kind of like a tire tube, it's going to have a lot of oxygen in it, so it needs to have that thickness, okay? So just like a tire. Veins, on the other hand, are going to carry blood towards the heart. They carry this blood under a very low pressure, and they have super thin walls. Veins also need to have these things in them called, and these are called valves, and the valves basically stop backflow from happening. So you need to remember that as our veins are carrying our blood back to the heart, it's basically for a large portion going up our body. So it's having to fight that gravity. Valves make sure that there's no backflow happening so that that blood that's going back towards the heart continues going towards the heart. Capillaries, on the other hand, are the thinnest of all of the blood vessels. They are super small, super thin walled, and this is because they need to be able to pass that oxygen and carbon dioxide through them. So we call this diffusion. So diffusion is going to happen across them. So we see these capillaries in areas where we need diffusion to happen, and mostly in our lungs. We're going to talk about that in the respiratory system. So this is kind of how these systems are interconnected. So this is an artery right here. Look at how thick and elastic looking this wall is. And on the inside, you can see how there's those layers and the blood cells flowing, okay? Super smooth. They have that internal elastic membrane. This back layer, that's called lumen. And then you have the endothelium in the center right here. Okay. Notice now in our vein, this is that valve that I was talking about. So this valve helps to pinch that together so that we don't have that backflow. And then there's none of that stuff in the capillary because they're so thin walled. So this is how our veins actually use their blood flow in action. So you'll notice that the blood is moving up, so towards the heart. And as it's passing up, that valve is closing and it stops that backflow. And it does this through a pressure differential. So that's how that works. So let's talk about our heart. Blood flow through the heart is a double pump action. So the first thing that happens is that our veins are going to bring all of the deoxygenated blood right from the body into our heart. So it leaves it basically drops off this oxygen to the muscles, and then it returns the blood to the heart. And it goes in through the right chamber of the heart. Arteries are going to bring the deoxygenated blood to the lungs so that it can get filled back up with oxygen. And then veins will bring oxygenated blood to the left chamber of the heart, and arteries bring the rest of the blood to the body. Okay. So here I'm going to have blood entering my heart. It goes through my heart to my lungs. It picks up oxygen in my lungs. Now it's going to go back to my heart for one final pump to push it to the rest of the body. And all of these capillaries, that's where all of that gas exchange, that super important stuff is happening. Okay, and here's that diagram again. So if I'm looking here, blood is going to enter here. It's going to give a slight push to just bring that blood into here, push it towards the lung. So it's not that hard of a contraction. It's a slight contraction. And then it comes back from the lungs into the heart through here. And then it gives it that final super hard contraction to push all of that blood out of your heart towards your body. Okay, so that's about the circulatory system. So you're going to, I've already assigned these readings yesterday. You're going to answer questions number 1 to 9 today.